Hey everybody, it's Albert Kiefer again. I'm going to try to do a short one. Last time I tried that, it turned out to be 20 minutes, so I had to cut it in two parts. So let's see if I can cut it down to 10, because then I can put them in my channel without doing any editing. Um, let's start with this one. It was one that I did a couple of weeks ago, and what you see here is what actually struck me in the scene when I saw this was the light that turned on to um, the church and the reflected light, because here you don't see it, it's out of frame. There's a very big, bright white building, and the sunlight reflected from there onto this part, and there was this darker foreground element, which was basically silhouetted. So I tried to somehow capture that, and here are some of the the pictorial elements that I'd like to point out, which I try to incorporate to give the image depth, which in the first place is trying to add these darker foreground elements, and also this knotted willow tree, which was in the right. And since we're still, well, it's 17 degrees Celsius right now, so it looks more like spring or even early summer. But the trees still think it's winter, and this time of year it's supposed to be winter. So there are no leaves on the willow trees or on the knotted trees. I'm not sure actually what kind of tree that is. But you see a lot of naked branches, and I wanted to capture that in because it was a nice element as well. So I tried to play out the light and the dark and foreground, background elements, and that's what you see here. I try to put in some darker, cooler colors, which are these purpley kind of dark colors. For that, let me pick them. It's my trusted Winsor Newton shale color, which are the lighter shades within this dark building. And there's the Winsor Newton slate, which is a tad darker. And to not really kill the building completely, which is in fact why I did still a couple of shades lighter than complete dark. Uh, I added in some of the flagpoles that, caught some light. I didn't want to do it photorealistically because that's not the way I want to work. And I have to really pay attention to that because I try to go into detail, and I don't want to do that with my sketches. So the darker colors, leaving the page white and adding a tiny little bit of yellow, which I'm not really quite sure which color it was, but I think it was, in this case, a Copic yellow 23, which is a very light shade of yellow, and added some warmer tones from the Winsor and Newton range. I would have to see, but I don't have it ready yet. And a little bit of a Winsor Newton very light pale green, which completes this image. I wish that the Instagram would give me some kind of a time indication, because I think I'm still going on and on and on. Okay, so much for this one. Let's go on to the next one. Oh, by the way, just a nice little intermezzo. This is the page that I usually put in between my sheets if I don't forget it, because if you look, this is what happens. It's not what happens, but this page, if I turn it around, you see that the moleskin was never intended to take that much of penetrating abuse from markers, so it bleeds right through, and if I don't put a page in between, it bleeds through to the other page, so I ruin a page. So, and this is my page that I've been using for the last 2 years, and sometimes I test my white acrylic markers on it, because I still haven't found what I'm looking for, to quote YouTube, because they are either too watery or they clog up, and it's not always the best. But this is the page that I use to not bleed through to the next page and to test some stuff. Okay, this is the last one I wanted to do for this little sketch walkthrough. It was one that I really liked a lot in the end, but just to show you that I can get carried away and that things can go really, really wrong. Here it turned out right, but I did one before this, and that one was really messed up. I'm going to show you, and I'm going to show you what went wrong, basically. Here you see the almost exact same thing, and what you see here is that I got carried away with the very deep shadows that you usually have in very sunny, bright days, but don't try to put them in like this, because it doesn't always turn out right. And here I sketched myself deeper and deeper into trouble. The line work was really, really very cool. There's still some nice things in this sketch, but I took the shale, the one that I showed you, but it was totally too dark, and it killed the drawing. So instead of just crying, I started all over again. And here is what you see if you don't overdo it. And what I actually did here was basically leave the building where it was very brightly lit by the sun. I leave that page white and use the building's color itself as the shadow color, which made it a lot brighter and didn't kill the drawing. It didn't draw too much attention, because what you see here, it drew way too much attention. So don't always go for a shadow color. Sometimes see if you can use the page white to paint the light, or leave it open for the light, and just paint the shadow color, the actual color of the building. And this one turned out, for me at least, it turned out quite nice. Okay, let's see how short these ones are. I hope to see you again really soon. I have a lot of things to talk about, so I'm going to make a next one very soon. Thank you for your attention. Bye-bye.